What is up, YouTube? Today, I thought I would go over my guide collection. I actually haven't shown this before. In fact, I haven't shown my EU collection on stream or video before, but I'll show you guys my guide collection. It's not very big, but I do have kind of a collection of guides. And I think every EU fan does. Let me go ahead and invite some people onto the stream, and then we'll get started. So, but I mean, I do have a collection, sort of a collection. So, and this is also a very rare face cam of me. So, I hope you guys enjoy. Jedi Knight. Paste. Sorry, I'm putting it. Oh, not everyone. I don't want everyone. I'm trying to advertise this on Discord. There we go. That's how we're gonna wait some people to get in here and we get started. I'm gonna turn my camera off for the time being. Got one person in stream. So I'm also going to do I'll go over some of the guides and like why they're important. But then I'm just going to, some of these guides I've barely even gone through. Some of them I've gone through kind of extensively. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guides. Some of these you may not even consider guides, but I consider them guides. I don't have any source books. I would throw that as a guide too, as a type of guide, but I don't have any of those. I have handbooks, like some of the Epic collections. They actually have handbooks, because some of the comics, Dark Horse would release like a handbook with it. Like Dark Empire had its own handbook, and X-Wing had its own handbook, and it kind of just went over the characters and the different things that were going on. It's kind of like a guide. So, but I'm not going to show those because they're in my Epic collections, and I don't want to get those out. What's up, Nazo? How you doing? How you doing? I've also been having some trouble lately with SWTOR. It's like every time I try to load it, it crashes. And there was recently an update that came out. So if anyone knows anything about that, let me know. So I'm also gonna at everyone going through my guide collection on my YouTube. Come join me. Yes. Okay. I'm good. I like Star Wars comics, as do I. I prefer the novels. The novels are easier to read. They're easier to collect. Not as pricey. In fact, there is one comic that I would like to collect, or a novel that I need to get. All lockdowns on the way. Okay. How's everybody doing? All right. Well, I'm not gonna wait for some more people. More people join later. So here we go. So turn the camera on. So the first ones that I want to go over are the Chronicle books. I have the box set here that was released by Disney. It's in this package. This is a Disney reprint. These are not the originals, and you know that they're not the originals because on, like, let's get the Jedi Path for instance, because that's the one people know most. On the very front of it, they actually has the Star Wars logo, and on the original printings of these, they don't have them. But beyond that, these are basically just like the original. There's not a single Legends banner in sight. They're the same size. It has the kind of like on old books, you know, you can kind of see like ridges. Um, that you know, that's an aesthetic thing that's added to the book. Um, and all the books have them. So they're, and it's four of them. It's the Jedi Path, Bounty Hunter Code, Imperial Handbook, and Book of Sith. All four of these. Imperial Handbook, I think, is also new canon. I think I may be wrong. Either that or it's just took, because there's a walker in there called the ATDP. That's actually was made for Rebels. It's actually in this book, but it is considered EU. So, and that's fine. I don't really mind that. It's just, you know. So there's that. Those are the four main Chronicle books. Chronicle books also did one more. It's the Journal of Master Nosterau, who is a character from SWTOR. And this is really cool. This is an original. This was actually never opened when I got it. It had the posters. You can actually see them back there on my wall. But this is really nice. This is a journal put together by Nosterau. He's in SWTOR. He's a Jedi historian. He records pieces of the galaxy and history and whatnot. He's a really cool character. If you've played SWTOR, you'll get to know him. But there's a lot of cool art in here. Like, for example, there's Naga Sato or Sadao, or however you pronounce his name. Now, this was actually, I guess it wasn't a journal he put together, but it has a lot of his notes, and it says it was compiled by Jedi Grandmaster Satele Shan. So it's really cool. There's, I guess there's some cool artwork there of Dromund Kaas. I'm guessing that's Dromund Kaas. I haven't read through the whole thing, but there's, oh my lord, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had to go do something for my mom. Anyway, so what were we talking about? Journal Master Nostro. That's what we're talking about. So the posters that came with it, it's a section from the Treaty of Coruscant, which is like kind of a big part of SWTOR. Sorry, I'm trying to bring my mind back to this. Jedi Temple floor plan, and then Shield Inner Defense planet planned by Master, some Jedi Master. I think it's of the planet Bothawai, which is the Bothan homeworld. But yeah, this is cool. So, and this came out with certain editions of SWTOR. I don't remember which editions. Someone who knows that will tell me. Okay, because I kind of thought it was at first, but I guess not, and that's cool. That works with me. But yeah, this is cool, and this is also made by Chronicle Books. Now, I think this one's actually better than the other ones, but because this has like it has notes from Satele Shan, but it's not like Ahsoka saying you should do that, Sky Guy, or anything like that. It's like genuine annotations by Satele Shan on what Nostaral is writing about. So this is a really cool book. The only thing I don't like about it is look at how long it is. It is a long book, so it's very awkward on the shelf. Put it lightly. It's very awkward on the shelf, but it is awkward to read too because it's very long. But other than that, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. The next ones are, of course, the essential guides. Now, my favorite of all the essential guides is this one, Jedi vs. Sith, the essential guide to the Force. This is one that I really, really enjoy. This is actually a story as well. It takes place during Legacy of the Force, shortly after Sacrifice, I think. And it's really, really nice. It has the lightsaber forms in it. It has some really cool artwork. I mean, there's Tenel Ka and Asherad Het. So that's really nice. Like artwork that we've all seen before. It's in here. There's a Corran Horn right there. Pretty cool. It was written by Ryder Wenham and illustrated by Chris Trevas, however you pronounce his name, and Tommy Lee Edwards. They both do the artwork for this. It has some really neat stuff in it. Just all about the Force and the different like Force factions. The Jyn Sarai are in here. The Ong Ti are in here. Different Force powers, Sith alchemy, Sith spirits. So it's really, really nice. I think the problem is my copy is actually falling apart. I need to get a new one. But there's like a really cool picture of Cade. Again, my copy's falling apart, but there's Cade there. So it's really nice. I really like it. But one of the reasons why I love it so much is this is a potential. This is something Noah needs to read. I think this would really, this will really like calm some of his nerves. Actually, probably not. But it's on page. Where the hell are the page numbers at? Page 40. Okay, 45. It's about Vergir. It's about kind of if she was really a Sith, and it basically is like no one knows if she was. There's some scholars, Jedi scholars, that say no, some say yes. And Tyone actually writes this. Tyone Solusar, she's a Jedi historian, much like Nostaral. And she writes, all that is certain is that Jacen Solo was heavily influenced and transformed by the being who called herself Vergir. It is in part because of her that he is the Jedi he is today. Now, by this point, he was a Sith. Didn't know that yet, but yeah. So it's pretty cool here. There's some cool art here of Luke and Lamia. I can find it. There we go. In fact, it's 2 pages long. It's kind of epic. if you guys have seen this before. It came from this. So Luke and Lamia, pretty neat there. So yeah, that's my favorite. Out of all the guides that I have, this is my favorite. It's really nice. It's not the only guide that's a story. Another one that's also a story is, of course, the ones I showed you earlier. And then also the Illustrated Star Wars Universe. I don't have that one just yet. I need to get that because I'm a Kevin J. Anderson fan. But the next one that I would like to show you guys is the new Essential Guide to Droids. I actually have most of my guides are actually the new Essential Guides. I don't have any old ones. But this is really cool because of course it has all the droids in it. But Vufi Raw is in here from the Lando Calrissian Adventures by L. Noel Smith. And it's written in here that droid, design species, or whatever you want to call it, was one of two species that actually fought the Yuuzhan Vong in their home galaxy, which is really cool. Here's I-5 from Michael Reeves' books, so that's cool. But yeah, it's really nice. And then I think the Great Heap is also in here, which that's for you droids fans, that should sound kind of interesting or familiar. Here's there's also one in here about the Basilisk war droids. If I can find it. There it is. The Basilisk war droid, which are, of course, Mandalorian war droids that they used for centuries in their early history. It's really, really cool. I think Grievous is also in here, which is just hilarious. Let me find him. Because he's more of a cyborg, not really a droid, but wait. Oh, there's the YVH droids, Yuuzhan Vong Hunter droids. Wait. Those are a droid species that of course, New Jedi Order fans like myself really enjoyed seeing. I think in Dark Nest, Ben Skywalker also has his own personal YPH droid, which is cool because they're not just Yuuzhan Vong killers. I mean, they're just as like 100 droids in general. Where's Grievous? Oh, I think that was the Great Heap. Let's go back to it. It's very annoying. No, that's not the Great Heap. That's a homing droid. I don't know where the Great Heap is in this. Somewhere in here. But Grievous is in here somewhere. I know it's towards the end. There's Bowmore, monks. Here's Grievous. Well, sort of. Sith Alchemech Techno Beast. There it is. There he is. He's going to get real pissed off that he's in this book. Anyway, yeah. That's the new Essential Guide to Droids by Daniel Wallace. I don't know he did most of these. I don't know he did the Chronicle stuff, but he did most of the guides. This is the new Essential Guide to Characters. I don't really know why I got this because I don't need it. I can just go to Wikipedia, but I think I got this. Okay, first of all, this version, the one I bought, is library bound, which I don't like, but whatever. I'll take it. But it has, I think, has stuff up to Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and the New Jedi Order. So it's still very much behind. But it's pretty cool. I like it. I really like the character artwork in here. I like the different, there's Droma and Durga the Hutt. I just like those character models. They're really, really nice. I use them a lot on my Instagram posts. There's Kip Duron, of course, right? So it's really nice. I think it's funny how it pretends that Darth Sidious isn't the Emperor. Who are we talking about? Like which one? There's Baron Fell right there. But yeah, this is really nice. And again, it's It's out of date. It's not up to date at all. Of course, it has characters from the movies. Has EU characters. It's an EU guide. But yeah, it's really nice. It like if you've ever wondered what some of these characters look like, from the books, this is a really cool version. And again, it gives you some easy just reference, right? Because that would be a spoiler, at least at that time. Did everybody know he was Sidious though? Because they're played by the same person. But yeah, there's Kirk Hanos. He's in here. So Kirk Hanos is there, and this is also done by Daniel Wallace. So it's really nice. I really like this one. There's Brachus, a really cool picture of him right there. So from Young Jedi Knights. I think he's pronounced Brachus. I don't really know. Because it tells you the pronunciation, but that's not very clear. Anyway, that's cool. The next one is the new Social Guides of Vehicles. I think I've gone through this one the least out of all of them. This is by Hayden Blackman, so didn't know he actually did this one. But just like the other ones, it just goes through the essential vehicles and vessels. There's a Chiss Clawcraft, which is one of my favorite ships in the EU. It's basically like a TIE Defender, just better. Coral Skipper. So, and what's so cool about, and I'm glad they made these guides because so many of this stuff we read about in the books and we're like, what does that look like? So, and this kind of gives you just some really cool. Or either we don't know what or like in a comic, it's not very clear what it looks like. So then it kind of just, it shows us what these things look like. Plus, if you want more information about them, it's also really nice. So there's the Houndstooth, which is Bossk's ship. So the ship you're in this ship half the time in Bounty Hunter Wars. Actually, a lot of these ships I've never even heard of. Interdictor cruisers, I've heard of that. That was in Zahn's trilogy. There's the Jade Shadow, which was that her third ship? I don't remember. I think it goes the Jade's Fire, the Jade's Saber, and then the Jade's Shadow. Which that's Mara Jade's ship, by the way. Sidious even has the same theme music as the Emperor. We knew but didn't know how exactly it would be real. Well, I guess that's true. That's true. I guess the how you didn't know, but you knew. You knew that the Emperor was the Chancellor. So, which that in itself wouldn't be a spoiler because A New Hope tells us that very same thing. Though it uses the term president, not chancellor, but it's interchangeable. The next one is obviously everyone's favorite, The Essential Guide to Warfare, by Jason Fry. This one is really cool too. I need to go through more of it. I recently got it. I haven't had it for a long time, but this is cool because it does make connections to Ewoks, the cartoon. If you didn't know that. It makes the connection is I think I don't remember his name, but the Imperial officer we actually see at the end of the show, he was friends with Jane Dodonna in the Imperial Academy. So it makes some connections to that. Let me find, because there's also a picture of them in here, the two of them. Here it is. It's Screed. Yeah, Screed. Admiral Screed and Captain Screed and Dodonna received the Holt Cross on Anaxes. It's pretty cool. So lots of connections here with EU stuff. But the book is laid out in chronological order. So you start out in the Old Republic. There's a really cool picture of Revan Malik. I'm a big KOTOR fan, so that's cool to see. But it seems like when I go through these books, I just look at the pictures because that's what every kid does. So I don't actually read it. I should probably read it. But there's some stuff about Lord Hoth in here. What's cool is that this book actually has a lot of excerpts from different novels. Like I know there's a picture of it was I don't remember his name because it was so weird. It's that spider character, not the spider character. It's this guy, like with the big ass gun in Bounty Hunter Wars. You can see that. But and then there's some. It's an excerpt from the novel. I believe it's from the first book, Mandalorian Armor. Actually, no, it's not. It's from Slave Ship. It's from Slave Ship. So it'd be cool. His name is Darhan, or Darhan. We're gonna call him that, Darhan. But it's cool. There's a lot of cool artwork in here, as like every other EU guide. So there's the Clone Wars, and I think it has some stuff on Legacy. Lord Singe, Thrawn, World Devastators. There's Gambella Bliss. Yuuzhan Vong stuff. It may just end here. Oh no. Okay, it does have some Legacy stuff in here. There's Falcon flying from Kashyyyk, Luke and Dala, Callista. There we go. The Eternal War. I guess that's what it's called. So it has this really neat picture of all the Sith from the Legacy comics. So that's really nice. But it's like I said. Oh, there's Gar Stazi, one of my favorite characters in the EU. He's really nice. Whoa, that is a really cool picture there of that Star Destroyer and some TIE Defenders at the top. That's really nice. Who did the art? Who did the art for this? Paul, or wait, is that someone who wrote it with Jason Fry? I can't tell. I don't know. Illustration by it's by a bunch of it's by a bunch of illustrators. I can't talk. Drew Baker, Tommy Lee Edwards, Ian Fullwood, Ansel Hesio, Stephen Marnefire, just butchering these names, Modi, Jason Palmer, Chris Golf, Dave Seeley, Darren Tan, John Van Fleet, Bruno Warneck, and Paul Yole. So it's cool. There's here's the Lusanka and the Reaper square off over Arinda. That's a really kind of an iconic art piece there. So it's really nice. Really, really, really nice. The last one is that I have. I don't have a big collection. Let's read some comments here. I had Warfare, New Chronology, and Book of Sith, but I lost them. That sucks. Palpatine would be the Emperor, obviously, but we didn't exactly know who Sidious was. Could have been something more than Alter. I'll take your word for it. Because I was 8 months old when Revenge of the Sith came out. I wasn't even alive for the first two, so we're just looking at Essential Guide to Warfare. Now we're going to the Essential Reader's Companion. Obviously, the one every EU fan has. This is the first one I've gotten, or that I've ever gotten the first guide I ever got. It's very helpful for me as someone who is still collecting the EU. The only problem is it's a little outdated. Like there's some novels that are like, I know Dawn of the Jedi is not in here, Maul Lockdown's not in here. Kenobi may not be in here either. And there's a few others. But yeah, so this is cool because it goes through the entire EU in chronological order, except comics. Comics are not in here because if it was comics, it'd have to be 2 volumes to this, which actually wouldn't be that bad. But yeah, it puts all the short stories in chronological order. A lot of the comics are. I mean, it mentions the comics, like for example, at the beginning with the Old Republic, Tales of the Jedi is mentioned, but it doesn't like do a whole, like summary, because what he does in here is he not only lists everything in chronological order, there's a brief summary to all the books and short stories and everything else that's in here. Yeah, he did reorder the books as well, because it's not that he reordered them, he just put them in a better order, if that makes sense. So, and there's also some really neat art in here as well, from illustrated by Jeff Carlisle, Joe Caroni, Brian Wood, Chris Goff, Darren Tan, and Chris Trevis, which are some artists that have done a lot of Star Wars art, especially Chris Trevis. I think him and what the hell's his name? He did all the Dark Horse covers, the early ones. His name? Someone will tell me. But this is really nice, and it has Fate of the Jedi in here. It has Mercy Kill, Crucible. I know it's not in here, but it's not hard to figure that one out. Why do you think it's a better order? Because I don't know, because it seems like, because I used to use the order that was, the timelines that were in all the books, or a lot of the books. I used to go by that, but I've been told that one's just way out of date. It's not way out of date, it's just not a very good order. So, I don't know. I mean, if there's a reason why I shouldn't use this, let me know, and I'll be I won't use it no more. But I use this for a lot of my timeline. And from what I can tell, like I'll use this timeline. I use Matt Wilkins' timeline. A lot of those, I mean, his timeline and this actually line up a lot. So I don't know. And like an example I can say is like in the novels, the reprinted timeline, there's like it has the Han Solo trilogy by A.C. Crispin, and then it has like one other book under it, and then it has the Han Solo adventures after that, which is technically not right, because the first 2 Han Solo, Paradise Snare and Hutt Gambit, come before. Okay, Paradise Snare, Hutt Gambit, then it would be the Han Solo adventures, and then it'd be Rebel Dawn. So like the Han Solo adventures are like right in the middle of the series. So I don't know. Then again, I'm still very new to the EU. I don't think people realize that. You're not, Scott. You know a lot more than me. So, but I don't know. It just feels a little bit more detailed and thought out, and I feel like it's more like, it's not that it's better. It's just more precise. I can say that. I don't know. I'm just curious. I know. Plus, I use this because, like, if it's like maybe I'm reading, like, I don't know. I've been reading a book and it's like it reference other things, and then I'm like, well, I forgot what that book was about, and then you can just read a quick summary of it in here. So it's really nice for that reason, and the summaries aren't too long either. It's quite jarring when they move things up. I can understand that. But we're also looking at it from two completely different perspectives. I'm still new to all this. I still haven't read even half of it. You've read all of it, I'm guessing, or most of it. So you know a lot more than me. Scott, are you in my Discord still? Or did you leave it? I forgot what had happened. It was due to TCW. Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality. But like I was saying, Scott, if you want to join the stream, you're more than welcome to. Are you left it? Are you still on Instagram? Because I will send you, if you would like to join my stream, I'm more than willing to send you the invite. Only because you're not running it anymore? I can't tell if you're joking. I can't tell if you're joking. Also, ignore that Rise of Skywalker poster. I'm taking that down soon and throwing it away. I just thought it was cool when I bought it. Well, I bought it before the movie came out. And I was excited for the movie, so I'm gonna get rid of it soon. I used to have The Last Jedi up here, but I took it down because I'm gonna either replace it with icons or Star Wars posters. I haven't decided. Others like EU stuff, EU posters if I can find it. That's something I do want to start looking into is EU posters. Also, look at my mug. Cat person. He stepped away from a Discord for a while. Yeah, I was during Lent, and then I realized I don't want to worry about it anymore. So sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't want to run it no more, so I gave it to Titus. You can't join. That sucks. Anyway, that's all my guides. I don't really have any more, so yeah, I don't have any more. But those are really cool. Now my favorite, like I said, is Jedi vs. Sith. That's my favorite guide. But I mean, if you're like a completionist, should you get the guides? I don't know. I guess if you want everything, that's considered EU. It is C canon, but like a lot of the guides are actually outdated, and a lot of them actually have a lot of. They do have some contradictions with some of the books too. So it's I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Now, obviously, the books do trump the guides. Absolutely, they do. So because the guides are recording what was in the books. So if they get something wrong about the books, well, the book is going to take priority because the book was first. So anyway, if anyone wants to join the stream, let me know. Actually, I'm just gonna put the stream invite in chat like I used to do. If you would like to join and talk about some Star Wars, I have Essential Reader's Companion, Essential Guide to Warfare, Guide to the Force, New Essential Chronology, and Ultimate Visual Guide. I want to try and get the Essential Chronology. That sounds really nice. The new Essential Chronology. I don't have any of the old Essential Guides. I only have the new ones. My family's very loud. I don't know if it's okay. It's completely fine with me. I don't have a whole lot of guides. I thought I had more, to be honest. I mean, do have some new canon guides that I got years ago, but of course, those are not. It's not EU. I think I have the Ultimate Visual Guide too. If or it's no, I have the absolutely everything you need to know book. If the novels and comics trump the guides, I guess Ajunta Paul was part of the first Great Schism. What do you mean? Where was it said that? Or where did the EU say that?
Or do you say what?
Well, Darth Sidious is saying if the novels and comics trump the guides, I guess Ajunta Paul was part of the first Great Schism.
No, he was part of the second Great Schism.
I know. Are you
Yeah,
referring to because
I think he means the books trump the guides in terms of like details of personal accounts.
yeah.
Not
Yeah,
that
I
the
knew.
not that
Yeah, I knew. Actually, now that you're mentioning that, Sidious, I know what you're referring to because I just reread that. I mean, yeah, it did say that that was the first Great Schism, but I don't know. That could be retcon. It's like, okay, well, it's referring to like, I guess the first Great Schism was also referring to the dark side because that had to deal with the dark side too. I don't know.
since you brought it up, I've got my new essential chronology right here. It predates the Essential Reader's Companion, so you won't see anything from like Dawn of the Jedi or Fate of the Jedi in here. It goes about as far as like Dark Nest,
Okay.
as far as like detail wise. Hang on, let me see if I can flip a camera or something. Okay. I'm just gonna have to flip this around since I don't know how to flip my camera right now. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm. Well, part of it,
Okay.
half of it,
Back up a little. How about now?
I can still see it. Move your camera to your right.
Right there.
To your right.
I
Other
have a
right.
crappy. Sorry, I have a crappy phone camera. So yeah, as far as details goes, yeah, this the furthest it goes is a little past the New Jedi Order to I think the Dark Nest trilogy because I think there's an image here, Vergier. Image here, yeah, of Raynar Thal as like the king of the Killiks or something.
Yeah.
I haven't gone through these books yet, so I'm trying to super duper not spoil myself. But it's a good book in my opinion. I think it's got a good definition of chronology. The only thing that's kind of shifted around, I think, is like the position of like Lando's story.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's still technically close to the same place, but
I think it's.
it,
I think the guides they're in general they kind of tell they speak volumes because if the EU was not if the EU was not canon. If it wasn't in continuity with the films, why would they release volumes like this? Because there's
to
not guides. I mean,
yeah
there are guides just for the films, but they're very few and far between. They're not very detailed. The only thing that I can think
yeah
of is visual dictionaries, um, and maybe I don't know. What are some others for just the movies? There's not very. There's not a whole lot out there.
there's like a few dictionaries I think. Like there was one for the OT, and then like probably at least three for the prequels because the OT at that point had been out for years, so it's like around like the 80s or 90s they released the. I used to have it, but it fell apart. Was the was shit. Sorry. It was well, it was that sort of visual dictionary to the original trilogy, and then they started releasing some for the prequels. and that's kind of the most you had. I mean, like there was other tie-in material, obviously, like the adventure journals for like episodes 1 and 2. I find it surprising that none were made for episode 3. I guess Lucasfilm had kind of like, for the most part, given up that RPG element, but
Yeah. Well, it's interesting.
sorry. No, like back in the day, I didn't have like a ton of cash for like a lot of these. So like the most I had was like the ultimate visual guide and the essential guide to the Force.
Yeah, it's Jedi vs. Sith. That's a great one. My favorite for sure. I've read.
Yeah,
I think I've read that one the most, and I've gone through it the most in the others. Because I mean, I don't. I'm not really gonna sit down and read the whole thing like some people do. I'm just gonna, if I want to read a certain section of it, I'm going to. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but
yeah, like I used to have that one, and I got a new copy, and I remembered going through it. Why my old copy fell apart is because I read it so damn much as a kid.
yeah.
Like I read through this so much that the pages started falling out, and I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to pace myself now that I'm an adult, because I'm like, the second I start going into this, I won't be able to stop.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, at times I actually kind of like the guides because they're a bit more than the books. Not because the books are bad or anything, because the books are fantastic. Depending on which book you're going through. Uh, like I did the unabridged version of Rogue Planet. I think I preferred the abridged version of that one. Because there, no offense to the late great Greg Bear, but there was just way too many details there.
Really?
It was super technical, which if you're a technical person, yeah, that's like a playground for you. But like, it was so technical, and like the character moments, I'm like I'm not saying the character moments were bad, but like the entire time going through it, the only time I wasn't like kind of bored was like with Vergier coming up of talking about the Far Outsiders. It just didn't respond to me well the way it might respond to other people, and that's okay. Huh?
I haven't gone through that one yet.
Not yet. Oh, well,
Which
I
is
would
weird
still
because
recommend.
I'm an NJO fan, so it's like, well, that's the closest outside of the NJO series. That's the closest book to the New Jedi Order. So, but I
Yeah,
haven't read that one yet. Not yet.
honestly, I would still recommend going through it at least once, even if you don't end
Oh, yeah,
up
well,
liking it, because there's some stuff that's like I like, even though the stuff is like, I think the stuff is bad, I'm still glad I went through it, because I'm like, well, now I know. Now I
Yeah.
know what happened in this story. Now I know what happened. Like,
Well,
I already. Sorry.
kind of cool. Well, Rogue Planet. I don't know. I don't know why I haven't read it yet, but I have read Outbound Flight, and that references it a lot. So.
Oh yeah, no, we're Outbound Flight. I liked the abridged version, so when I got to the unabridged version, it was great, and there was a few extra details I wasn't expecting. Like, I don't remember the abridged version having that whole detour with Sabaoth and his Padawan on the planet with Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
That little negotiation. I don't remember that being in the abridged version, so that was a nice little detail.
Really, because that's kind of an essential part of the book. That's the whole reason why the Senate allowed him to.
Well, the abridged version kind of skips over that part, I remember, and it focuses more on like, it focused a lot more on the stuff with like Thrawn and Cardus and the ascendancy,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of glosses over some of the Jedi stuff that's there, which again isn't bad. The book just reminded me of how much of an ass Sabaoth was to people.
Well, I like Outbound Flight a lot because Zahn didn't go on to write after Hand of Thrawn. Well, I mean, he wrote books afterwards, but he never wrote chronologically. He didn't write anything after Hand of Thrawn. So, But he wrote that and he connected it with what they were doing in the Del Rey. What Del Rey was doing after Jedi. So
There was one thing chronologically after Hand of Thrawn. It was Survivor Quest, but I haven't gone through that one yet.
Oh shoot, I forgot. Well, that's like right after it, so whatever.
It's. I know it's just before the Young Jedi Knight and Junior Jedi Knight series, so I'm looking forward to that one.
I'm over here spilling stuff.
And it's from what I've heard, it's actually supposed to cap off a lot of the storylines that were kind of set up in Outbound Flight. Even though I thought,
you should read Survivor's Quest first. That's what I did because it came out first, and because if you read Outbound Flight, it's going to like it'll spoil Survivor's Quest is what it'll do. So it's, and I mean people have asked me like, should I read it? Well, I guess no one has asked me this, but whatever. You're gonna get my opinion anyway. People wonder like, should I read the EU in chronological order or in publication order? Probably it depends on the era though, because I feel like you can go through the Old Republic era, the entirety of it from Tales of the Jedi to Darth Bane, and you'll be fine. Because that's how it was released chronologically. If that makes sense. Tales of the Jedi came first, and then KOTOR, and then
Yeah, like I personally like if it's in my opinion, if it's like first time, there's a couple places you can start post Return of the Jedi. Like obviously Truce at Bakura is a good start. I think maybe Luke Skywalker and the Shadows of Mindor might be a good one. Of course the Thrawn trilogy. But for like the prequel era, one of the only starting points I can tell you to start with is the Darth Bane trilogy. Because I feel like that does the best at, like, even if you haven't read most of the Old Republic stuff, I feel like that's still a great like starting point and stepping stone into the prequel era.
Yeah, the Darth Bane trilogy is basically like a big prologue. Because
like and to be honest with you, despite the fact that it starts before most of the other stuff, I did not go through Plagueis until after I had gone through most of the prequel stuff.
Shadows of the Empire is pretty good.
Oh, Shadows is fantastic, and it actually because it didn't super focus on the character of Dash Rendar, which I thought it would. It actually gave me a greater appreciation for Micro Reeves' Shadow games.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first I was like, yeah, this is a great story, but like it kind of has a stereotypical ending. Because of course the singer lady works for the rebellion, and of course
Hey, spoilers! Haven't read it yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ignore what I said.
Don't worry.
But it is a good one. I still think Michael Reeves' best book was the one he did with Steve Perry. He's done a couple, but his best one was Death Star, in my opinion.
Okay.
And sorry.
I have all of Michael Reeves' stuff except Lockdown.
Lockdown isn't Michael Reeves.
Who did that?
Lockdown is.
No. Lockdown. Shadowhunter was done by Michael Reeves. My bad.
Yeah, I would recommend Shadowhunter just because it's a good way to start the whole Pavan. Dang it! What was the name of the droid? I know this droid, but I5YQ. It's a good start to his storyline.
Interesting. Well, because Lockdown, that was Joe Schreiber. I actually have that ordered, and I have it ordered in hardback, which is rare for the record. So it's a rare hardback to get.
No, what I remember, the one thing I remember, and this is what I tell people whenever I recommend Maul Lockdown. It's like be ready for a brutal experience. That story is brutal. Like I could talk about it, but you might consider it, unless you've already gone through it, you might consider it spoilery.
I already know Maul fights a certain alien in it.
Oh, that's just one detail. I'm talking about all the other details.
Oh, I don't know anything else part of it. So
yeah, that him fighting that one alien is one thing. That's like the only NJO detail in that book. The rest of the book is actually quite interesting because of like it kind of shows you the inner workings of uh, well, in the story, Maul is in a prison.
Hmm.
It's like a prison ship out in the middle of nowhere, and the warden occasionally stages fights, and she's got like connections to Huts and the Republic and all sorts of things. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's a good one. It actually is one of the ones that surprised me with just hearing a lot of the brutal details of like people getting their noses crunched or their eyes smashed or something like that. You're like, oh, gee, you sure this is Star Wars?
Well, Schreiber seems to like writing that stuff, so
Oh,
horror and gore.
yeah. The only book that I thought of his that I thought was kind of lacking, and it's probably because it's his first book. And mind you, I had already gone through Red Harvest and Lockdown at this point. Was Death Troopers.
Did you say you didn't like it?
I didn't say I didn't like it. I just thought it wasn't his best
Oh,
compared to the other two. I'm not saying again. I'm not saying it was bad. I like it for a certain reason. If you've already read it, right?
look. The only prequel book I've read. Well, okay.
It's
The
not even a
only
prequel book.
I know it's not even a prequel book because I'm dumb. I have not read many books that take place before Return of the Jedi. Most of the books I've read are afterwards.
I know. I'm just asking you, have you read Death Troopers?
No, I haven't. I haven't read it yet.
Okay, I would highly recommend you read it because you'll dislike it for a particular reason, but you also love it for that same reason.
What
And
zombies?
well, here's the thing: a character appears in it. I won't say who, but they'll survive later on in the story, like in the Star Wars universe. So you're more than a little disappointed in that aspect, but at the same time, you still love the character. I'm
Interesting.
I'm 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 just going on the assumption that you love this character. I could be completely wrong, and you could hate this character's guts completely.
I probably do hate it because I hate a lot of things.
No, but one thing I noticed about both Red Harvest and Lockdown, Joe Schreiber is a fan of the Gendy series because he includes Nelvon in both.
Interesting.
Like, yeah, there's like a Nelvon character in both of his books, so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's not the same character, obviously, because two different timelines, but like, it's cool that he had that much love for that cartoon that he's like, I'm going to include one of these guys in here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm currently about to buy Red Harvest because I don't have it.
I thought that one was good. I kind of differ with Wilkins on that one because he said it felt like a teen, like a teen horror drama, which it does, but at the same time, there's like funny and creepy things that happen in it too. Like there's literally a character that like parodies Liam Neeson in the sense of I have a particular set of skills I've acquired.
That's funny.
There's
And
that,
I'm
and
also
there's
buying Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina because I don't have. Oh no, Tales from Jabba's Palace because I don't have that yet.
I haven't gone through those
Bring stuff.
ones yet, but I've heard good things about them. It's gonna have Kevin J. Anderson, so I know I'm in for a treat.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what am I missing? Okay, I think I'm missing because I'm so close to finishing the EU, my novel collection. I need to find a timeline. My copy
Well,
here's Unseen Queen. I know there's a timeline in here. Let's see what I'm now missing, but I don't have. So I
honestly,
just
I'd rely more on the companion than what you got there.
well no I only use this because it has the entire list. I just want the list.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I just ordered Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. I just ordered Red Harvest. I have Lockdown ordered. I have the Clone Wars novelization ordered. I'm missing Wild Space, No Prisoners, Gambit. Order 66, I know I'm missing as well. Force Unleashed 2
Ooh, that was a surprisingly good novel.
and Razor's Edge. Other than that, I have everything else.
Razor's Edge was also good. Some of these Star Wars books, like I was actually surprised at how good they were. You have Star Wars Galaxy's Ruins of Dantooine.
Mm-hmm.
That one surprised the hell out of me.
Oh, I've heard it's bad. Is it good?
Anybody who's told you that's bad is probably like. Keep in mind, I've never played Star Wars Galaxies, and I love the book. I don't know why someone would tell you it's bad. It's actually quite like good, and again, other than like it does have OT characters in it, but it also has a character that I like that I haven't seen in a while, and I'm like, oh no shit, he's still alive.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a background character from the prequel era, so I'm like, oh, he's still alive. Sweet.
I'm so close to having a complete novel collection.
I need to work on mine a little more. I've got more comics than novels, but that's only because I'm a huger fan of the comics.
I'm starting to get a comic collection going here. In fact, I actually have 2 comics. Oh, there's Fall of the Sith Empire for you Tales of the Jedi fans. I'm rereading through that,
fantastic.
and then I'm reading for the first time the X-Wing comics. So I have this right here.
Oh yeah, no, you're in for a treat with both of those. But I love both of those comics. They're not like my favorite. Well, Tales of the Jedi is like my number 3, but X-Wing is not like my favorite, but it's still fantastic read.
Yeah. Well, this one also has content from Star Wars Tales.
No, a lot of those Legends Epic Collection have that, which is cool.
But it's from Tales 23, issue 23, and there's a Wedge story in it that is so good.
Oh, I remember that one.
It was his back. It's basically what gave him a reason to join the Empire. It was really good. I really
join the rebellion.
Or the rebellion, that's right. To fight the Empire, join the rebellion.
Yeah, he actually had a reason before that, as you'll see when you get further along in the X-Wing comics. But that was even more incentive for him to pop in, because he's like, first they took these people from me, now they took her from me. I'm like, is there anything the Empire doesn't take from this man?
Yeah. Scott, I barely have started it. But the Epic Collection has a couple stories from Star Wars Tales. It has X-Wing Rogue Leader, which is like a 3-issue prequel series, which I did read through that. I thought it was good. And then it has X-Wing Rogue Squadron Special, which is like a one-off issue.
I've read that one. That's a good one.
It was pretty good. And then I've only read the first issue. So I'm still barely starting. But to me, Rogue Leader and the special 1-issue comic, that's part of the series to me. So
Rogue Leader was a good prequel startup for the comic.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed that one.
In my opinion, I think like some of the best storylines for the X-Wing comic come a little later when you introduce characters like Baron Suntir Fel. So
right, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, because I love the Fels. I love the family, the Fel family.
So, the Fel family, the destiny that's intertwined with the Skywalker and Solo family.
Yep. What I meant to say with the Junta Paul and the Great Schisms is that I don't like when reference books retcon primary source for no reason. Are you using retcon as in contradict primary sources, or retcon as in like changing the interpretation that we're given in a story? Because those are very different. People use the word retcon as a synonym for contradiction. But in reality, retcons are used to fix contradictions. They're not the same thing.
Yeah.
And I wish people would, no offense to you, but like I just wish people would stop doing that because it confuses me because I don't know what they're talking about.
Well, again, it's like the canon tier list. In particular, like how the original Marvel run was S tier canon, and basically you had to take some of the details because the story still technically happened. It's just not exactly as the comic remembers. Because again, some of those issues has Luke Skywalker still having a lightsaber before Shadows of the Empire and after Empire Strikes Back. So you're like, yeah, okay, obviously he didn't have his lightsaber. That's just something somebody made up in front of a campfire and to the other rebels. Oh no, Commander Skywalker always had his lightsaber. That's the way I write it off. I'm like, nah, it's just rebels telling campfire stories saying, oh yeah, the legend of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. Oh, I guess some calm chatter there, Nazo.
Oh yeah, it's my mom yelling at my sister
Calm
over
chatter.
the phone.
That's funny.
Yeah, I understand that, and I go out of my way to help.
Yeah, it's. I'm gonna step outside because it's my mom yelling at my sister over the phone.
That's fine.
It's nice and windy out.
The reference books tied up some plot points that were purposely left open by the authors, unnecessarily, and in my opinion, prematurely. Okay. Yeah, the reference books, they do help the continuity a lot, but they also do hurt it in some respects.
I see what he's talking about. He means in the sense of like, there could have been a book written about this character, but because it's wrapped up in a source book, nothing further is going to happen with that character.
Yeah.
In which case, in that sense, I do agree. In another sense, I'm like, yeah, but who's really going to read a book about Agenta Paul other than some random nerd going into a Barnes & Noble? That's not going to be a New York Times bestseller.
I don't know if you'd exactly call that a retcon. Yeah. Again, retcon is... Here's what a retcon is. When in A New Hope, we're told that Vader kills Luke's father, Anakin. And then in the very next movie, okay, let me say this. This is what a contradiction is. A contradiction is this. In one movie, we're told that Vader killed Luke's father. And then the next movie, we're told Vader is Luke's father. That is a contradiction. That doesn't make sense. In Return of the Jedi, when we're told, well, that's true from a certain point of view, because Luke and Anakin, or Anakin and Vader are like different characters. They can be viewed as that. That is a retcon, because we're given an explanation. It's basically the explanation for a contradiction that resolves the two sources and makes them connect in a proper way. That's what a retcon is. And
the way I see it, the retcon was basically Obi-Wan lying to Luke, but he had a good reason to lie.
That's also that's a part of the retcon too. So
how do you explain to a young boy that your best friend, the kid you trained, is a psychopathic mass murderer killing people? Oh, and he just murdered your aunt and uncle. So, I was just saying, wouldn't that be more scarring a little bit than him finding out on his own?
Adding information isn't a retcon. A retcon is when they twist the meaning. Yeah, and they twist that meaning by adding information. Information we were not told yet. So
that's kind of what a retcon's supposed
Golden
to
Age
be.
of the Sith tells us is a contradiction than what we're told in other sources, because we're told that Golden Age of the Sith established the first great Jedi schism as it's describing the 100-Year Darkness, but they call it the first great schism when it's not. The first great schism took place thousands of years before that, and the 100-Year Darkness was like 2,000 or 3,000 years before Tales of the Jedi. So, and that's kind of why I wish we had books set in that era, so we could, have a little bit more, insight. But, and I don't think retcons twist the meaning. I think twist is kind of a weird word, but people also use it in the sense that you could splice in another version of events to an established event, like adding another set of Death Star plans. Yeah, that is a retcon. That's the definition, because it adds information we weren't previously told but that set of information is able to actually rectify the contradiction. So retcons are used to fix contradictions, typically speaking.
Although in Dave Filoni's case, the retcons are used to contradict the previous information.
Okay, like for example, people will say that people will say like the Bad Batch premiere. Remember how it contradicted the canon comics? People will say that that's a retcon. That's not a retcon. When the Bad Batch not lining up with the canon comics, that's a contradiction. It's not a retcon.
It would only be considered a retcon is if Lucasfilm officially stated, "Yeah, this comic is now S tier canon," which means
It still wouldn't be a retcon. It'd still be a contradiction.
Yeah. But the whole point is it would be their way of saying, like, you know, it might have happened this way, but it actually didn't. So
Correct, Scott. Correct. I agree with that. Anyway, I mean, language does evolve too. So like, I don't really. I think maybe there will be a day when retcon will have two meanings. I don't know. Language always evolves. It always changes. So, but you'll never see me using retcon. You'll never see me use the word retcon when I'm referring to like the Clone Wars disrespecting the EU. That's just contradictions. You know, I would never call those retcons because they're not retcons. They're contradictions. Two different things. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. I want to go and read some EU. So that sounds fun, right? But
sounds like a good way to end the night.
Joining. That's my guide collection, my very small guide collection. It's I think after I finish collecting the novels, I'll start more so on the comics, the comic realm. That's gonna be a very huge endeavor.
It took me a couple years, so I understand why it would take you a while too.
Yeah, because some of these comics, a lot of the comics that are out there are all out of print, but that's why the Epic collections are so cool, right? That's why they're so good. They
Yeah, I didn't bother with Tales from the Clone Wars, so I don't think you should either, unless you want to pay like $600 for.
No.
Yeah,
But like I mean, I found that sometimes the Epic collections may be like very expensive, but if I can sometimes I can find the old Dark Horse trade paperbacks, and those are pretty cheap.
yeah, no, that's always a good deal. A lot of the comics I have aren't Epic collection; they're
Yeah, I have
Dark
most of the
Horse trade
trades.
paper. Yeah.
Or I think the Dark Horse omnibuses, those are actually, most of them are rare and hard to find. I only have one, and
I found a couple, but I see what you mean.
Actually, okay, so this trade, I also got Tales of the Jedi Going into the Sith, Tales of the Jedi Against the Old Republic, Tales of the Jedi Dark Lords of the Sith, Sith War. Well, this Sith Warrior, that's it. And then I also got Tales of the Jedi Omnibus Volume 2. And I got that all in a lot for about $85. Which
That's
is
not bad. They usually
work because I couldn't find this specific trade for less than $50. I couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm not paying $50 for a trade paperback.
Yeah, no, those are the older ones are usually like really costly depending on it.
Yeah, so I got a good deal, but that lot, and that's the whole series for the record, because Tales of Jedi Volume 2 Omnibus has the Frida Nat Uprising and Redemption, which I don't have in trade paperback form. But I have it in the Omnibus, plus all the other trades, so I have the whole series in print now, which is great.
Good.
I can agree with that, yeah. And typically, I don't like, for example, I, Jedi. That is a book full of pointless retcons because the author he wanted to put his character in it. So he retconned it. He retconned his character into the book. Or into Kevin J. Anderson's story. And it's one of the reasons why I don't like the book at all, because Corran Horn
kind of did it insultingly too.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Nazo, for joining. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks everybody for joining the stream chat. Scott, Darth Sidious, I know Alex and Brennan joined earlier. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.